62a. And the rabbi's protest was, you said that he's a tsenua. You said he's a modest person. To call somebody a tsenua, to call someone a modest person, he has to that's safe for a person if you knew that he was modest in the bathroom. If you don't know that he's modest in the bathroom, the rabbi said you can't call him a tsenua. Now, so let's look at the Gemara. It's an A3, 62A. I'm going to get out the art scroll. 62A, 4. It's the top of 4, Mr. Haber. Who savdana, right? So the Gemara, we're in the next paragraph. V'Rav Nachman, about 10, in the art scroll, it's the second paragraph. Rav Nachman, my nafka lamine. The Gemara has a question. Why does it bother Rav Nachman to go ahead and say that the person who eulogized might have exaggerated, might have said something about him that, it's not befitting to call him that because you called him modest. You don't really know that he was the level of modesty because you never checked him out how modest he was. But so what's wrong if you exaggerate? What's the problem? So he says the problem is, yes. Him and Hashem. Right. Right. Right, that's true. The way he acts towards people, but the term, the rabbi understands that the term tsenua is used for somebody who's modest in the bathroom. That is meaning not only, and obviously he's modest everywhere else, but he's modest in the bathroom. And how could you really ever know if a person is modest in the bathroom? You're going to find rabbis that follow the other rabbi into the bathroom to see his modesty in the bathroom. But to refer to somebody as a tsenua, that title, this rabbi understands. Now, the one who gave the eulogy says, what do you mean? Modesty is not just, I saw that he was modest the way he dressed, the way he talked, the way he acted, the way he walked. So I called him modest. But the rabbi says, no, the term he understands, the word tsenua, is reserved for someone who is modest, even in the private. Maybe it means in the private, maybe it's it doesn't mean just bathroom, it means in the private places. And when you have no idea to know that, yes. I'm saying it would be the case of the Gemara that the Gemara said when the rabbi walked into the bathroom and he followed him into the bathroom and he saw, we had the story, 2 rabbis followed other rabbis into the bathroom and they saw the way they conducted themselves in the men's room. And as a result of that, they could say properly, morning, Jaime. Morning. They could say he's a modest person. He's a tsenua. And the word modest is I shouldn't use the word modest, tsenua. Maybe you could say a person is modest. You could see how a person is modest. But to refer to him as tsenua, which is, let's say, the epitome of modesty, let's say there's different levels of modesty, but to refer to someone as tsenua is only when you know how he acts in private places with nobody, where it's very, in a bathroom? Yeah, so we saw that modesty in a bathroom means that when nobody is watching, that you don't uncover yourself earlier than necessary. That's one way. And also when you finish using the bathroom, you don't remain uncovered more than necessary. You don't talk in the bathroom. These are things that indicate a level of, it's a training that, right, people need to be only so therefore you can't it's you and yourself, so therefore you can't refer to him as this, you can't give him this title. That's okay. They learn from most probably they learn from us. Okay, so that now, so the Gemara says what's bothering him. We're on 62a 4. We are like the second paragraph. Why did it bother him that that the eulogizer might have exaggerated, might have said something about somebody that was not true, because he had no way to know that it was true. So the Gemara says, meaning, you know what? Sometimes somebody says something, right? Not everything needs a response. Not every time somebody says something, I have to go ahead and say, it's not correct. Sometimes you have to let it. I mean, somebody makes a statement about the news, right? It's going to happen. This is going to happen. The weather. I don't have to correct every time. I don't have to correct the guy about things that are not important to correct the guy about, right? Not everything needs a statement. The question of the Gemara is, why should the rabbi criticize the speaker for exaggerating? So he exaggerated. So, is it because the rabbi is concerned that the speaker is lying? The speaker wanted to say something good about the person who passed away. What's really bothering the rabbi that he needs to tell him you're making a mistake by saying that about the person? The eulogizer said something very positive. So the Gemara, what'd you say? Okay, very good. So Yaron says maybe the problem would be that if the rabbi says this person is sanua, is really modest, and he's really not really modest, so people think that's the way that person acts. That's called modesty, and that's not true. But the Gemara says, he says a different reason. The Gemara says, Mishum de Tanya, because we learned in the Braita, Kishem shenefra min hameitim, just as the person who passed away will be punished for false praises. Meaning, because if you praise somebody about something he didn't do, so it opens the books. They say, he was such a good, he gave a lot of charity, but he didn't give a lot of charity. So then the books upstairs are opening up and saying, you said about the guy, they said about this guy that he gave a lot of charity, but it's not true. It's not true. He should have given more charity. So therefore, you don't say things about the guy that's not true, because it could cause problems to the person who passed away. Not only does the person who passed away will be in danger as a result of exaggerated things about the guy. So too, there's punishment from the eulogizer, the one who said that exaggeration. God also is going to be upset with him, because he caused the opening of the books for the person that he eulogized. It's because of him, the other person is going to be looked at. His actions are going to be looked at more closely, because he exaggerated on some things. So therefore, there's going to be a punishment for that person for causing punishment for the person who passed away, and also the people who answer amen, the people who respond. As a result, after they would give a eulogy, people would say amen, and then the people that would respond, because then you're also part of saying that you're also agreeing to this thing when it didn't really happen. Now in Shulchan Aruch, it says the following. In Shulchan Aruch on the Torah, it says, "Mitzvah gedol it is a very great mitzvah to give a proper eulogy for someone who passed away. And anybody who's lazy about giving a proper eulogy on a adam kasher, a proper person, that person who doesn't eulogize properly, it's very dangerous for that person who doesn't do a eulogy properly. Meaning there's a very big mitzvah to do the right job when you eulogize someone at a funeral. And if a person doesn't do the right job, he doesn't do a good enough job, he didn't do the right job, it's very serious consequences for the person who didn't do the right job when he gets up there to eulogize. And you know, they were great, they were great at this. You tell the public, but they weren't. No. Here we're saying here. Right. This is saying that the person was great, and you didn't bring it out, and you didn't do it. You didn't get the emotions of the people. You didn't let the people feel the loss. That is a very serious offense, very serious sin, not to do a proper job, to give a proper. It's all around, exactly, right. And then the Shulchan Aruch says, but you can't overdo the good, you can't over exaggerate a lot. You can't, but you mentioned his good midot, and he says you're allowed to add a little bit. And now the question is, why could you say this? Now listen to this. The Torah says You can't way overdo it. You can't exaggerate a lot, but you could exaggerate a little bit. And the question is, why are you allowed to exaggerate a little bit, right? So to that, there are different approaches of of people. One approach is that, let's say the person did a certain amount good in his life. If he would have been asked to do a little more good, well, probably he would have done more good. The only reason why he didn't do that more good was because he might not have been approached to do it. So therefore that allows you, because the fact that he would have done it, most likely he would have done it, you can actually say, if you went a little more and you said a little more about the person, it's not a problem. It's not considered, the fact that he would have done it is not considered that an exaggeration. That's not acceptable exaggeration. That is the opinion of the Taz. The other, I saw another idea is who could really know how great a person, all the greatness of an individual. Nobody knows everything that a person, this is the Aruch HaShulchan's explanation. No one knows everything what a person, could a person be exact on the praise exactly? Either you're going to add or you're going to subtract. And therefore it's better to add than to subtract. How do you like that? Right, because if you didn't add, because if you subtracted, it's a very serious problem. So therefore, it's better to take the root being to add, but keep it, keep the addition modest. Don't overdo it in a way that's too much, because then the books will be open for the guy to say that's the great responsibility. Because if you subtract, but you subtract it. That means you did not give proper respect to the person who passed away. And that's a big deal. But the person who passed away deserves proper kavod. And the kavod is by saying what kind of person that person was. It's amazing. You see how, Nathan, you see the sensitivity of the halakha? Right. And then it says it's a tough job. Right. That's what, right. Right. So Mr. Haber's pointing out it's a hard job. So maybe that's why you see a lot of times rabbis, they speak to the family members before the funeral. They get stories about the person. And I presume that according to this, it's a responsibility of the rabbi to do. Because if the rabbi doesn't have do his homework, then he could come up and might not give a proper eulogy on the person, because people didn't bring out about the honor, the type of person that the person was. But if you do a little homework and you do some reading, you talk to the family members, and maybe that would be the way to give the proper eulogy. Okay. Let's continue in the Gemara. The Gemara says the following. Tana Rabbanan. So now the Gemara is continuing. We are on, in the Gemara, it's about 10 lines from the bottom, 12 lines from the bottom. And in the art scroll, it's 62A4, left column, second paragraph from the bottom, the left column. Tana Rabbanan. The rabbis taught the following. What's called a modest person? So again, modesty is connected to the bathroom a lot. Again, if you're modest in the bathroom, it's indicative you're modest all over. And what does it say? What's called sinua? So this brisa says that a person who goes into the bath at night, when he uses the facilities at night, the facilities they had back then, as you know, was no facilities. The way you go at night is the same way you went by day, which would seem to indicate you went by daytime. You would go a distance to go to the bathroom because people shouldn't see you. So at night, even though it's dark, nobody sees you. Let's say by day you had to walk 15 minutes outside your house to go to the bathroom. Right? Because the Gemara says one rabbi went up to 18 minutes out. 18 minutes could have been up to 18 minutes to go out of his bed. to travel to a bathroom. So let's say you went 10 minutes. So that at nighttime, even though nobody sees you, so you could say, why do I got to walk 10 minutes? Let me just walk 1 minute outside my house. I'll go back in the house. Nobody sees me. So this, the way the first reading, understanding of this Braita, a modest person that even at night, that nobody sees him, but he acts by night the way he did by day. He goes to a place that no one has the ability to see. If it would have been daytime, no one could have seen him. That's the type of place he goes to at night. That's the level of modesty that the person has. Then we're going to see others will disagree with this. You don't need to do this. You don't need to really go there. But this is seemingly at this point, this is the opinion of the Braita. Now, so the Gemara says, Aini, is this so? The Gemara challenges Roni Akiva. The Gemara challenges this. Is that Morris on the screen? Va'amar Rav Yehuda Marav. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav, La'olam yanhig adam es atzmo shachrit va'arvit. Yehuda says in the name of Rav, a person should train himself. Good to see you, Morris. A person should go ahead and train himself early in the morning, before daybreak, before dawn, before it gets light. Arvit at night, once it gets night, to go to the bathroom, to train himself, to relieve himself, to move his bowels before when it's dark, before dawn, early in the before it gets light. Shachrit is referring to night when it gets dark. Use the bathroom then. So therefore, if you do that, you will not need to go ahead and when it comes daytime, you will not need to use the bathroom by day and to travel by day to a bathroom, because we have an issue, because we know it's not healthy to delay going to the bathroom. And therefore, we want the person to be healthy. And therefore, my father of blessed memory said, many sicknesses come from not using the bathroom when you need to use the bathroom. So therefore, we'll see in the Gemara talk about it. So therefore, we want to have the person should be healthy. So train yourself that you go to the bathroom when it's dark. So therefore, you will not need to travel long. But if you go when it's dark, this opinion is saying you only have to travel a minute. Come out of your house, go back in the house in a private place, and do it. And so, because if you train yourself that way, so therefore you won't have to go ahead. When it comes daytime, you won't need the bathroom by daytime because you already relieved yourself during the night hours, so to speak. And therefore, by daytime, you would not have to travel to go to a bathroom. We want to help the person. We want the person to avoid traveling to the bathroom by day, because we don't want him to delay. And it's not only, by the way, it's a health issue and it's a halachic issue. It's a halachic issue. A person needs a bathroom. You're not supposed to delay. You're in your office. You need the bathroom. You're supposed to use the bathroom. You're not saying, I'll come in here, go in half hour. Not supposed to do that. It's forbidden to delay general going to the bathroom. It's not a man has also an additional concern, because if he needs to urinate, the man could also affect his ability of reproduction. Could have a negative impact. So therefore, there's laws about this. And here the Gemara is saying, the Gemara is referring more to not urinating, more moving his bowels, and in order they would not have to go ahead and by daytime he would not need to travel to go to the bathroom. And the Gemara says, and furthermore, the Gemara says, Rava biyamama havi azil admil. Rava, in the daytime, he would go up to 18 minutes. He sometimes had to travel 18 minutes to go to a proper bathroom, because it was away from people, and to be away from people. But at nighttime, Rava said, Rava said to his gabai, to the one who assisted him, he said, clear an area, let's say some learn back of the houses, and clear me an area, nobody there, and make it ready, and I'll use the bathroom over there. So we see Rava did not go to the bathroom 18 minutes by day. He clearly told at night, he told the person, let's just go right in the back of the house. Nobody's there. And most probably you would dig something in the ground and use the bathroom and cover it up. Whatever that, I presume that's how they would do it. So we see at night he did not go the same way he did by day. So, and Rava would not argue on a Breita. Breita is the early rabbi. So Rava is a later rabbi. So it seems the Gemara has the question on this recording of this Breita, because say it again. Okay. So the Gemara says, the Gemara says, Rav Zera, Rava did it this way. Rav Zera, another great rabbi, said to his gabbai, to his assistant, go see who is in the back. Some say who's in the back of the Beit Midrash, in the back of the building. See if anybody's there. Nobody's there. I need to use the bathroom. So see, make sure that nobody's there. Make sure nobody's there. I'll go use the bathroom. So we see that you don't need to go ahead and go to the same place that you would do by day. By daytime, you can't go back to the building of Beit Midrash, because in the daytime, people or any people could see. The only point, if it's nighttime, some say it's not referring to a place of Beit Midrash. Some say it's referring to a house that the boys, the guys hang out, that the people, a place that people spend their time. So the Gemara answers the following. So we see the rabbis were not careful at night to go to the same bathroom they use by day. And the rabbis, and it says, who is sinuah, who's modest? The Breita says the one who does that, who acts by night the way they do by day. So these rabbis would follow the law. They would act with modesty. And here it seems they didn't act in the level of modesty. So it's obviously the rabbis were following halakha. They didn't feel it was necessary to go to the same bathroom that you use by daytime. You had to travel, so in an area that no one has a possibility to see. It's not the necessity at night when no one's going to see you. So it's also maybe, so the Gemara says, lo tema. Your understanding of the Breita is mistaken. Lo tema, don't say b'makom. Don't say you need to go at night in the place that you go by day. It means you have to act when you get undressed, or when you get dressed. You have to get the same way by daytime. You're careful to get not to uncover yourself earlier than necessary, and not to leave yourself uncovered more than necessary. That's how you have to act at night as well. The fact that it's dark doesn't mean that you can uncover yourself earlier than necessary, or leave yourself uncovered more than necessary. That's what the Gemara says. Lo tema el b'makom doesn't mean the makom in the same location, the same place, the same area. Rather, ela ema kiderech, the way you relieve yourself, the way you do it, you by day kiderech shenivne biyom. That's the same way. That's how you have to do it at night. Avashi ama, person shouldn't feel, you know what? It's dark. Nobody sees. I could go expose myself. No, your person goes to sleep at night. There's a cover on top. Even if for some reason a person's being undressed, for whatever reason the person's undressed, they're supposed to have a cover on top. That's what the person not allowed to sort of sleep with no cover on top of them. It's not if they're naked, whatever. It's not allowed. Same thing, husband and a wife, even when they have relations, it's supposed to be something. They don't have relations, and there's no thing on top. There's a modesty in the law, even in relation. Even though it's dark, the lights are out. There's a cover on top. No, again, the same thing. I presume you just should try not to expose yourself earlier than you need to. Whatever. But I would think, based on these Gemaras, the person try to keep themselves covered as much as they can. You obviously, whenever you have to be uncovered, you're uncovered. But it would seem from these Gemara that you should don't stay long uncovered. You know what I'm saying? Try to dress yourself. At least put on the undergarment as soon as you can. And the last thing that should come off is your undergarment going into the shower. Instead of that seems to be, from all the Gemaras that we're learning, it seems to be the way to go. So the Gemara says that's one answer. The Gemara gives. I want to welcome back Shmuel Reis. Good morning, Shmuel. Rav Ashi Amar,
Boker Tov, Rabbi.
Boker Tov. Rav Ashi says, Afilu tema b'makom. Rav Ashi says, you know what? There is a certain, you can even understand it literally, that at night you go to the same place, but you go by day. What is that referring to? If you have a corner, if there's a corner nearby that you could go ahead and go to the bathroom, and it seems that the corner would be a more modest spot because of the fact that you're back of, in the turn of the corner. So that's where, even though it's nighttime and nobody sees, and you would think just go back of the house, but if there's a spot, if there's a corner to go to, we were going to ask you at night to take that extra few steps, extra little trip to go to the corner, because that's a place that's more modest. So he said, look, Karen Zovis, if there's a private corner, you need to go to a private corner, just as you would, like the way they quote Rashi. If there's a private corner nearby, he must make use of it just as he would during the day. So that private corner, meaning, when you're back of a corner, so it's more private. It's more like you have that wall that's more of a partition or something. So that we do ask you at night if it's nearby. But if it's not nearby, so then technically a person could go to the bathroom as long as it's dark, nobody sees, is good enough. You don't need to do more than, you don't have to travel the 10 minutes that you needed to travel when it was daytime. You don't need to do that at night. Gufa. Now the Gemara clarifies more what we just said before. La'olam Gufa. Rabbi Yehuda Marav. La'olam yanig adam es atzmo shachlit va'arvit. A person should go to the bathroom early in the morning before it's light, and va'arvit, and also at night while it's dark. In order that by daytime he should not need to go ahead and go out in the field, and like we said, the delay of going to the bathroom is it's not healthy. It's not healthy for the person. Therefore, we want you to be trained, very healthy. Tanya Namihachi Ben Azai Omer Hashkem B'tzei. Ben Azai says, get up early in the morning while it's dark out, and use the bathroom. Harev, wait, and then Harev B'tzei. When at nighttime, when it gets dark, go out to the bathroom when it gets dark. So therefore, you won't have trouble by day. You won't need to go ahead and travel by day to go to the bathroom. And by the way, it's brought down, as we had in the Gemara before, and the Torah says, the idea of going to the bathroom, check yourself before you daven, before you pray. It's a concept that you should check yourself before you pray to make sure you don't need the bathroom. People should train. Mr. Haber before was talking about training. I think this is a very good thing that people should train themselves. Before Shachrit, before Mincha, before Arvit, check yourself, use the bathroom, you come with a clean body in front of Hashem. That's anyways, you're supposed to also wash your hands before you pray. To my knowledge, I'm under the impression you need to wash your hands. We know before Shachrit, we say we wash our hands before Mincha and before Arvit. Wash hands. You don't need to do a real wash before Mincha and before Arvit. Just that your hands have to enough to know your hands are clean. During the day, you're in the office, you're going here, there. You're not focusing on your hands. Now you're jumping in to pray mincha. Also put your hands under the water for a second to make sure your hands are clean. Arvit, I used to see Rabbi David Feinstein always put his hands under the water. When I recall, he would go out in the hall to the sink right before the minyan, whether it's mincha or the arvit, and put his wash his hands. Your hands are supposed to be clean, right, Aaron? Before you pray. And not only your hands are supposed to be clean, your body. Check yourself that your body should be clean. And the way I saw it, it's not respectful. If a person's body is full of stuff that doesn't need to be there, it's waste product. You come in front of Hashem, you should be respectful. So the Gemara continues. Now the Gemara gives some advice regarding using the bathroom, because the Gemara most probably wants to protect the person sometimes from certain kishuv, certain witchcraft that people would do. Mishamesh, the Gemara says, Mishamesh v'shev. If a person needs, sometimes a person is maybe constipated, it's hard for him to relieve himself. The Gemara says, Mishamesh v'shev. First, he should move his hand, put his hand, or use some other instrument to help create the opening larger for him, so it'd be easier for him to move his bowels. And then after first he does that, and then he sits down. That's what he's supposed to do. Even though we've been talking about the modesty, not to uncover oneself before what's necessary, but here it seems that the way to do this is the proper way to help him, the moving of his bowels, is the way they translate, manipulate himself there at that spot. Use sometimes they would use some sort of rock or something, or some other thing, or a tissue or something to move the area around to make it easier. Don't sit down first and then manipulate the area. Anyone who sits down first, then it has some witchcraft issues. So we're not worried about witchcraft issues too much today. Doesn't seem that way. I don't think so. But anybody it was more common back then. If someone who sits first and then he manipulates that area, then even if they do witchcraft in Aspania, some translate as Spain, and it's like a year travel from Spain to Israel, it still will have that they're a year, that there are distance, the witchcraft, the magicians, the witches, whatever there is such a thing. We believe that there is such a thing. There is power to that. There was this concept of, the Torah says, people are not allowed to do black magic. There's all these things, but there were people that did magic, these type of magics, and so the witches and all these things. If they would do this magic a year's distance away, it could have effect on you over here. So therefore, don't just make sure you follow the proper way how to do this. Okay. If a person forgot and he sat down first, and only afterwards, after he sat down, he manipulated himself. So my takna say, what should he do to protect himself from any of the negative witchcraft? So kikai, when he finishes, when he gets up, lema hachi, he says, lo li. He says, not to me and not to me, not meaning to say the witchcraft should have no power over me. That's what he says. He says, lo tachim v'lo tachtim. These are some of the names of the magic that are connected with this. When a person uses the bathroom, however the magicians do certain things, and there's these magic names. So you tell them, I don't lo tachim v'lo tachtim. These magic stuff should not affect me. Lohani, not these, not all of these. Mahani, not even some, not even any part of these magic should affect me. Lochashi decharsha. Neither if it was a spell, the magic of a male magician, velochashi dechashta, or maybe whether it was the magic of a female magician, female sorceress. You're asking. It's a prayer. It's like a prayer, the power of prayer. We see also here the power of prayer that can protect them from the magic that it shouldn't happen. Okay, Mazel, turning the page. Tanya, Mazel Tov Mabruk, Samach Beis Amid Beis. Tanya Ben Azai Omer. We're continuing and telling us certain things of safety. We're concerned for your safety. And Tanya Ben Azai Omer, Akol Mishkav Shechav. On every bed, you could lay down on every bed. Except don't lay down chutz min hakarka. Don't lay down on the ground. Don't lay down flat on the ground. What's the problem with laying down on the ground flat? So some say it's because of the cold. If you're laying down on the ground flat and it's very cold, the ground is very cold. We're talking about when there's no carpeting. What'd you say? Could be. Let's see where we want, what context. That's a good question. I'm not sure, but you should know. Once you talk about laying down, people need to know. Men need to know. You're not allowed to lay on your back going to sleep. A man is not allowed to go to sleep on his back or on his stomach. A man has to go to sleep on your side. That's another thing people need to train themselves, because there's a concern that he might have an accident of emission during the night, and therefore a man needs. So it's a halacha that many people don't know. They need to be trained. We got to train the people when they're young, but even if they're a little older, you got to educate them. It's a halacha in the Shulchan Aruch. It's black and white. There's no question about it. To my knowledge, it's clear. Ashkenaz and Sephardim. It's not a matter of people need to train themselves, train their children, grandchildren. You see, women, it's not a problem. It's a problem for men. Men have to train themselves for that. Now, that's the issue. So some say if there is a mat, if there's a carpeting, there's not a problem. But if there's no carpeting, you're laying on a floor and there's no carpeting and it's cold, that would be the issue. Obviously, according to this, if you have nice steam in the house, you want to go to sleep on the floor, is not a problem. I think people on Tisha B'Av, there were people that would sleep on the floor on Tisha B'Av. So again, they might have put something down, there was something underneath them. Al kol moshav shev, you could sit on any place to sit, v'chutz min hakorah. Don't sit, let's say, by a beam. If you sit on the beam, maybe you're going to fall off the beam. Anything that's high up, there's possibility that you might fall. Some understand it's referring to a roof. And sometimes you make a roof just to protect from the rain. And sometimes you make the roof, if you just make it to protect from the rain, sometimes the roof is not so thick. And sometimes you make a roof that people are going to use the roof. So the concern is if the roof is made very thin just to protect from the rain, if you're going to sit down on that roof, you might just fall. So therefore, it might fall through. So therefore, you have to be very careful when you're not to sit on certain spots. Omar Shmuel, Sheina ba'amur ha'shachar, sleeping early in the morning, like by dawn. He says it's healthy. It's something that's good. Even though this is hard to understand because we want to get up early to pray, but maybe that's what he's saying. He said it's healthy, but even though it's healthy, but you should really, in general, try to get up early, anyways, to pray. What? Meaning, it sounds like if you let's say dawn, whatever time dawn is, if you sleep during that time of dawn. Let's say dawn is, today's around 5:45. I don't know what it is. Maybe it might be good. You might get a lot. Certain types of sleep you get more out of than other types of sleep. So it could be that time of dawn. Sometimes dawn is 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Like depending what time sunrise is, dawn is let's say at least around 72 minutes before sunrise. It could be that certain sleep is a better sleep. It does more for your body. I'm just suggesting maybe if certain sleep might do more for your body than other sleep. But at the end of the day, what I see, maybe that's what Hashem is asking of us. Still, we should get up. And even though that might be a more quality sleep, but we should perhaps get up at that time, get ready to serve Hashem. Have a great day, everybody. Sunday will be on the phone at 10:30. Tentatively, will be on my phone on Sunday morning at 10:30. We'll send to the group out a message. And then go back on Monday here in the shul. Okay, have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a Shabbat, beautiful Shabbat to everybody. You too. And welcome back, Shmuel. Beautiful. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Bye-bye.